Hey, did you miss me? Huh? Okay, we back. We are so back. I've been around the world a few laps since the last time we spoke. My bad for that, but okay, we back. We are so back. I took a little time for me. Okay, now it's time to get.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Deborah. I am 43, I'm 5'3", and I am on a mission with Mounjaro. So today's video, I'm going to be bringing you a little bit more insight about type 2 diabetes, because how rude of me, I've been on this journey so far and I've got countless videos and not actually gone into detail about my actual health condition. So apologies for that, but let's get into the topic of type 2 diabetes a little bit further. Got some little visuals here. I feel like a teacher. You know when you were younger and you kind of put out, well, okay, when I was younger, I would put out my teddy bears and like make them sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to read this story time now and get my book out and pretend I was a teacher with authority and just be telling them off and talking to them. Well, I'm not going to be telling anyone off, but I am going to be trying to teach you something. So hopefully you go away from this video more informed and more, I guess, knowledgeable about type 2 diabetes. And so let's kick off. Everybody eats food. Yeah, we need food to survive. Some of us love food more than others, me being one of them. Okay, so every time we eat food, the body turns the food into glucose and sugar. And glucose is needed because it's the fuel for our energy. You know, how the body burns energy is from the glucose. So every time we eat food, body turns the food into glucose, energy, which will fuel us to just get up and do something, I guess, run, jog, light exercise, etc. Okay, then we have this organ here called the pancreas. Excuse my drawing, but the pancreas is in the upper abdomen behind the stomach, and it produces a well-known hormone which most of you should be aware of or would have heard of before, but it produces a hormone called insulin. Now, insulin is like a key, okay? So if I use the analogy, I'm very visual, so I'll try to explain it as best as I can so the penny drops. So if you imagine insulin to be like a key, and you've got the door, you've got cells, and the key is needed to unlock the door to invite the sugar that's in the blood, yeah, the glucose, after you've ate food, and say, come into the cells. So the insulin is the key to opening the door and inviting the sugar from the blood into the cells. What happens with type 2 diabetes is it means either your body doesn't make enough insulin, or there's an issue with the cells not working properly or not responding to the insulin. So again, I'll go back to the key, insulin. So it means something's wrong with the key, that it's not turning for the door to open, or the cell, being the lock, there's something wrong with it. So it's discombobulated. They're not, joining up together and doing their parts to get the sugar out of the blood into the cell. So this is what's going on in my body. What happens over time is that the sugar that should be going from the blood into the cells isn't. So what happens is it stays in the blood, which you get high blood sugar levels. Okay, so you may have seen some of my previous videos where I use a glucose monitor and I will kind of do the prick test to test how high my blood sugar levels are for that moment in time. So what happens when over time with the high blood sugar levels? Well, it can cause damage in the body. And I'll just read off a list. It can cause damage with the blood vessels, which can lead to heart disease or stroke. It can cause damage to the eyes, and so you end up with vision problems. It can also cause damage to the kidneys, the nerves, especially the feet, and also the immune system. Now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about how some of these on the list I was actually impacted by those. So in terms of the eyes, if you haven't seen already, I have my most recent video that I posted last week about my diabetic retinopathy and the results that I got back from my eye screening, diabetic eye screening, which you usually have around like every 6 months. For others who don't have that issue with their eyes, they probably have like an annual screening. Diabetic retinopathy is basically the blood vessels at the back of the eye with the retina, they kind of are damaged. So it can cause like blurred vision, it can cause your eyesight to deteriorate quite quickly. And as previously stated, it's leading cause to blindness. Thank God that my screening levels and results came back that my eyes had improved. So the health of my eyes had improved. And so that's a positive, that it's not going on a decline and deteriorating, because that would be worrying. With diabetic retinopathy, it can't be reversed. So I looked more into this. It can't be reversed, but you can prevent it from getting worse. The other thing about kidneys, so one thing that led me to go to the doctor, because I was experiencing symptoms and I didn't know I was diabetic at the time, was that I was peeing excessively if I had a sugary drink. So any of those, any fizzy, yes, water, but it was more so the sugary that just made me on the toilet, like it was abnormal. Like my friends would say, but didn't you just go? You've been 3 times and we've been here an hour. And I'm like, yeah, I need to go before we leave. I need to go when we arrive at the venue. I need to go before we halfway through. I can't have any drink, because if I go have a drink, it's going to just lunge, literally. It was like you left the tap off and you need to go. And what I now understand that is the kidneys. The kidneys were working overtime to try and flush out the excess sugar that was sitting in my blood. And so where it should have been transferred into the cells, it wasn't. So high blood sugar levels. So the kidneys are like, right, we need to squeeze this out. We need to get it out. Hence, I was on the toilet often. The other thing is the immune system. Now it's slower in its healing. Now I think I've got a few piercings, but I think it was this one, and I had one up here last year. And I also had a tattoo on my foot a couple of years back. Now, what I realised is what should have taken 6 weeks to heal, and I kid you not, no exaggeration, took 6 months. So my ear wasn't infected, but I just had to keep cleaning it, and it just wasn't healing. It's like it had been pierced the day before. No matter how much I tried to deal with the area with the special spray and antiseptic, and I think I even tried a lot of different concoctions, to be honest, to try and salvage it. But I just had to then leave it to let it do its thing. And now obviously I understand that was because the blood, the high levels of sugar, in the blood, wasn't allowing things begins to heal. The blood type, the texture of the blood gets quite sticky. So it's gloopy, a bit like honey, that texture, as opposed to running like a drip. Worst case scenario would be if a diabetic has a cut or the nerves, they get nerve damage, and that can lead to amputation. So it is quite serious if it's not controlled. I'm just grateful for Mounjaro and getting me to a place where it's manageable and it's controlled. Now, obviously, the real test is once I'm off Mounjaro, because I don't envision myself being a lifer. Sounds a bit odd, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't envision myself being a lifer. I don't think it's a medication that's required for life as insulin was, like long term, but certainly to my understanding, that if once it gets to a certain stage and it's stabilised and I've got consecutive readings, I think it's 2 or 3 consecutive readings that show me to be in the normal range, then I would be classified as being in complete remission. So yeah, that's what I'm working towards. Oh, it's not a bonfire, guys. There is bonfire works going off, but it's actually Diwali today, so happy to Diwali to anyone that's watching that celebrates that. I think I've got a follower actually, Himani Stealth Health India. So happy Diwali to you and anyone else watching that celebrates that. So going back to this list of the damage that it can cause, obviously as well, we know with type 2 diabetes, weight issues comes with that. I was overweight. People are not even overweight and they can still develop it. Now that may be because they're predispositioned to having that, like myself, because if you're not already aware, my mum also has type 2 diabetes. Determined to be the generational breaker so that it doesn't follow suit into my children or my children's children or their children. Diabetes can lead on to other things: heart disease, stroke, other comorbidities. Am I saying it right? Comorbidities. I think that's right. Yeah, it's like one thing and then it leads to another thing and another thing. So we just want to eliminate that. Well, one obvious one is get on Mounjaro, use Mounjaro, because that's working wonders. I myself am just solely using Mounjaro, so I'm not on any other medication. And yeah, it's working well so far. The good news is type 2 diabetes is manageable and it is reversible. So I would say I'm kind of on my way to be a testimony of that, hence mission to remission with Mounjaro. Things that you can do on the journey that will help to make it more manageable. The obvious one is eating a balanced diet. So having your, healthy carbs, not too many refined sugars, incorporating your water, a nice, they call it the tea method. Okay, so if you've got your plate, there's a tea. So above this bit, above here, you should fill your plate with all the vegetables or salads, and then this kind of third, and it wouldn't be a third, would it? Because that's half. This quarter would be your proteins, and then this quarter would be your carbs. So you want to really try and reduce carbs, because carbs, refined carbs, turn to all your kind of starches and that, it turns to glucose, and then glucose is sugar, so then it stores in your blood if it's not going into the cells, or it turns to fat if it's not being burned off and used as fuel. So yeah, you want to kind of not eliminate those, but you want to reduce those as much as you can. Staying active, obviously, walking, exercising. You don't have to be a gym baddie, but just keeping the body moving. They do say that, you know, after your meals, try and incorporate a 10-15 minute walk, just because that helps with bringing insulin levels down. Blood sugar levels down. And the other thing is monitoring the blood sugar. So you may have seen already. If not, I'll insert it. Just me using my glucose monitor and how I do the prick test with my finger to measure how high my sugar levels are at that time of taking the reading. So, you know, there are certain foods that will spike it to go higher, and there are foods that will kind of manage it at a certain level. So I had 3 things against me, really. My mum being type 2 diabetic, so it was in the blood, genetics, having a poor, you know, diet, and also the environmental factors play a role. So when the body is under stress, your cortisol levels are increased and they raise, and that can affect your blood sugar levels as well if the body's under any kind of challenge or stress. And when I think back to my timeline, the times when I've had HbA1 screenings and my results have not mathed, it's not mathing. Like, I've lost weight or I've maintained the weight, but my levels are higher than the last one. What's going on? And so I feel that a lot of the times when they were spiking, it was because it was likely stress being the cause of that. So I had some things going on around those particular times that my body would have been kind of, poor nervous system, like, it's under attack, threat, and so gone through the roof. You know, we're not exempt from stress in our life. Work can be stressful, family can be stressful, just, you know, finances can cause stress. There's a lot of things that can contribute towards stress, so we're not exempt from it. Things that I like to do that will take care and reduce those, or kind of, I guess, combat when there's stress-inducing times. Pouring into me and just really encouraging lots of health and well-being opportunities. So, like I said, going to the spa, having a massage, maybe a facial, getting pampered, my nails and feet done, taking a little cheeky trip away over a weekend, just having a break, a walk in the park, mindfulness, like the colouring in, is quite therapeutic for me at times. I actually find, and this is a weird one, is it maybe? I actually like making the YouTube content. I like the ideas that come, I can do this, and it will trigger something. I've got a note and I'll write it, and that's quite therapeutic to me. And it allows me to kind of just take the focus off whatever's gone on and just pour into that. Another really big key one for me is soaking myself in, and I don't mean literally, although hot baths and bubble baths and salt baths, Epsom salt baths are really nice with the candles around the edge. Yes, those two. But what I meant was like soaking in an atmosphere of worship. So I listen to a lot of worship music, and my faith is a big role in that. So reading scripture to help me get through a difficult time. So some people might use like affirmations, but I would use scripture to read and help me to kind of switch off from the realities of the world and just kind of recenter and realign myself. So those are really helpful things that are working for me, in addition to Mounjaro, because Mounjaro is just a tool, a very helpful tool, by the way. But yeah, so that is the end of my lesson on type 2 diabetes. I hope that I have brought greater awareness to you and expanded your knowledge of type 2 diabetes, and just giving you food for thought, really. This may not affect you in any way personally, or you might know someone that it does affect. If you're in the pre-diabetic zone, it's good for you to kind of be like, right, okay, well, this is, I don't want to go on the trajectory of there where Deborah was. So let me continue on this cycle of a healthy, balanced diet, staying active, you know, promoting my self-well-being, eliminating as much stress where you can do, and yeah, just trying to live a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, last week I had the privilege of going away, and just a weekender, really nice weekender, and it allowed me to switch off, take off all the hats that I wear. I wasn't mum, I wasn't sister, I wasn't daughter, I wasn't a work colleague. I was just able to be me, Deborah, and it was really refreshing. You know, I got a chance to really just restore, you know, when you just need to disconnect from everything and then unplug and just have some time for you and just you alone. And that is what that holiday brought for me. So I most certainly, I think actually that is what's needed, like at least twice a year, at least. Not necessarily abroad, but I do believe that you need kind of times to check out, and just be you and check out for you. So I'll be doing it more often, I think, yeah, because I really enjoyed myself, and I will insert just how much enjoyment I had that allowed me to be refreshed and rejuvenated and re-energized and replenished. Yeah, that's the word, replenished. I felt really replenished being away. And so yeah, enjoy Valencia. Buenos dias, muchas gracias. Until next time.
So much to be thankful for, so much to be thankful for. I've got so much to be thankful for, so much to be thankful for. 1,000 blessings, a million more. It's so easy to praise you, Lord. I've got so much to be thankful for. There is a hope so strong, it holds me through the storm. There is a faith that makes the mountains move.